Episode 29. Stir up the transgressive and taboo. From the moment we are born, society begins imposing limits and boundaries on our behavior. Parents start instilling values and teaching right from wrong. Schools reinforce codes of conduct. Religion dictates morals and sins to avoid. The professional world has its own lengthy rulebooks. On one level, these restrictions allow cooperative human civilization to function. If we all acted solely on our most base, primal impulses with zero regard for consequences, we would descend into utter chaos and anarchy. Ethics, laws, and social norms provide the reassuring structure that allows us to coexist in relative peace and order. Yet residing within each of us is what author Robert Greene calls the lost self, the unrestrained, ED-driven part of our psyche that these societal limits suppress and subjugate. As young children, we experienced the world through this uncensored lens before authority figures began restricting our wildness. We threw tantrums, exploring the limits of our will with few moral encumbrances. We lived in that primal state of informing our every urge and whim. However, rebukes and punishments quickly conditioned us to repress those uncontrolled impulses that sought to transgress an ever-expanding list of boundaries being imposed. By adolescence and adulthood, our lost selves were largely caged beneath layers of programmed control, obedience, and respect for authority. On the surface, we became productive, well-adjusted members of society. Yet Greene argues that beneath the masks of polite conformity, we all wear lies, that defiant, freewheeling part of our essence that still craves absolute, unrestricted expression. We might make ourselves forget it, distract or displace it through various coping habits. But it never goes away. We all have an inner rebel, simply waiting to break free from the psychological imprisonment of society's limits, which is what makes the truly transgressive so utterly seductive and appealing to our lost selves. When we witness someone who appears to flout norms, rebukes authority, indulges unconstrained ID, it awakens that part within us that envies and yearns to do the same. We become filled with desire to experience that addictive emancipation, even if vicariously. Greene illustrates this dynamic through the phenomenon of Lord Byron, the 19th century poet who scandalized English high society with his defiant lifestyle and rumored transgressions like incest and cruelty to lovers. Women were utterly entranced, flocking to seduce a man who seemed to emblematize their own suppressed cravings for liberation from society's rigid constraints. The more Byron was chastised, the more rapturous the desire became to join his hedonistic orbit and turn upside down every rule, value, and code that had caged them. Their lost selves were suddenly awakened and hungered to burn down the very boundaries that had entombed them. While shifting societal standards may have altered what qualifies as transgressive in more recent times, Greene argues that the core seductive pull of witnessing someone who unapologetically defies limits endures. We remain haunted by the specter of our unconstrained lost selves, perpetually thirsty for the opportunity to cast off the shackles of ethics, morality, and conformity, even if just for a moment. The seducer's artful challenge, then, is to masterfully personify that liberating allure of transgression that bypasses their target's ingrained controls to stir the long-suppressed rebel lying dormant within. Some key strategies Greene suggests. The hints of sinfulness. Begin by carefully cultivating an aura of mystery and edge around your own dark capacities for defiant or amoral conduct. Don't reveal too much, but ensure your target's imagination runs wild with the possibilities. Find small ways to flaunt rule-breaking in their presence, like engaging in illegal but exciting misdemeanors, using coded words to privately mock authorities, or decrying stifling social customs. This plants the seeds of shared delight in planned disobedience. The gradual seduction of limits. Steadily escalate the level of norm violation you invite them to participate in. The key is artfully calibrating each overstep to be thrilling and intoxicating, rather than causing panic or a desire to retreat to their former refuge of inhibition. Target the belief systems or dogmas they have had imposed on them the most intensely, whether that's religion, family loyalty, professional ethics, or status obligations. We often crave rebelling against the values and ideologies most forcibly drilled into us. Use society's own prohibitions as tantalizing bait. Having an affair with someone's husband or wife, for instance, is delicious partially because of the omnipresent risk of being caught in the act. Part of the thrill is perpetually dancing on that line. For a deeper level of seduction, show your capacity for gleefully undermining larger institutions, flagrantly violating major laws or collective beliefs. Become their folk anti-hero, rebelling against the entire mainstream system. The point of no return. When your target's hunger for unleashed freedom reaches a fever pitch, go for the proverbial kill by plunging them into circumstances that demolish all remaining ethical barriers. This could include betrayals of loved ones, embracing societal perversions, etc. Feed off the shared sense of bonding defiance you've created, positioning your continued partnership as the only path to true, unrestricted self-expression. Any return to conformity is untenable. Reinforce their realization that they have ventured too far across the line to ever go back to living shackled by society's antiquated limits. Only by fully indulging their lost selves can they experience profound liberation and authenticity. At our cores, Greene posits that we all remain feral animals eternally rattling the cages of civilized domestication. By artfully channeling our intrinsic lust for life off the secure paths of propriety, a skilled seducer can unearth our most unbound selves and become the source that finally satiated that ferocious hunger for total unrestriction. For it is in unlocking that id that you burrow deepest into the primal basement of your target's psyche and establish your gripping influence. Just be prepared to take the journey to its darkest, most boundary-defying conclusions. Because once the lost self has been awakened, there is no restraining it again. Now, something important. Make it a daily habit to learn something truly beneficial that enhances your life. Remember, the content you feed your mind is like nourishment for your brain. Be deliberate in your choices. Otherwise, be wary. Algorithms are often crafted to manipulate your thoughts. Reflect on that. Now, we're excited to announce that we're now welcoming contributions through subscriptions to aid our upcoming projects and bring you exceptional content. Join us by subscribing today.